So this is going to be the part 1 of our moccasin tutorial. So as you can see, I have masked to the last, and you can see how I was able and the pattern I used in masking the whole last. So it is very imperative that you mask the whole last, then mark out your center line towards the underneath, and also extend the counterpoint and also the vamp lines to the underneath. So we're going to go into drawing the pattern. As you can see, also we have drafted all the points and all the areas which are supposed to be noted before pattern making: the vamp line, the center line, the counterpoint. So we're going to start drawing the pattern. The measurement I'm taking now is 1.5 inch, then the other side also 1.5, giving you a total of 3 inch. So I have finished drafting the pattern. I'm going to give you a rundown of some measurements right now. So from here to here, as you're seeing, is 1 inch. 1 inch. This place now, 1 inch. So from here to here, 0.7 inch. 0.7 inch. Then where we're going to attach this stripe, from here to here is 1 inch. 1 inch. Then from here to here is 1.5 inch. Then here to here 1 inch again. Here to here 1.5 inch. The same thing you are going to transfer on the other side. Then here to here is 1 inch. Can you see it properly? Here to here 1 inch. Same on the other side. Then we are going to cut round the insole. Round the insole. That will be our first cutting. And we're also going to inscribe our stitching points. So I'm going to measure about 5 millimeters for the stitching points. So we're going to use 5 millimeters. You can use 3 millimeters, but I want it to look a little bit wider, so I'm going to use 5 millimeters. So watch as I'm going to use the compass and the pencil to do this. It is very simple. First of all, let me inscribe the part where the whole stitching is going to be guarded for durability. So I'm going to be doing a lot of stitching around these areas now. I'm going to be doing double stitching on these ones. within the end of the tongue. So remember what we measured? We measured 5 millimeters, so that is the gap in between our stitches. So you can see how I am drafting the lines. So the lines are ready now. You can see it. You can see it. So now we are going to cut out this. Watch how I'm going to cut it out to separate it from the tongue. After getting the copy, you place it on the cardboard and then cut out the pattern. So you see how it looks. We are done with this one. Later we're going to punch it on the lines. That is if I'm going to use it. So we're going to cut this now from here round. We're going to cut it round, then split it into halves. From here the counterpoint, and then at the front here. And then we're going to cut off the insole. So just watch as we move to the next step. While cutting, be careful in order not to miss the line. So you need to concentrate and be careful. So after cutting off the insole, you remove it and then place it on your cardboard. This is the part that is a bit complicated, so watch closely and concentrate as we move through this process together. Then locate your center line and then the vamp line. After pasting the insole on the cardboard, you locate the center line and then the vamp line and join them together. So let's cut out the two halves. We're going to split the two halves and then remove them one after the other. After carefully removing the first half, you make sure that the side, it has to be the opposite when you place it. You see, it is curving towards the tongue of the insole. So you locate that center point and place that pattern at exactly that center point. Make sure it's at the center of the line. You see it. You see how to know that the side you're placing is the right part is because you're going to see it going the opposite. It is bending towards the tongue of the insole. So after that, you are going to be cutting in between the stitching lines. This is the most complicated step, so you have to be careful. You cut in between the stitching lines as you move, making sure that the lines align with the insole. Do that step bit by bit with carefulness. So watch closely, you can see where my cutting ends. You're not going to cut till the double stitching, I mean where the tassel crossing will be stitched. So you don't cut to that extent. Your cutting will end just closely to the tassel crossing, and then you try as much as possible to align the other parts carefully and gently. You don't have to rush this part. You have to calm down and gradually try to align everything. You're not going to get rid of all the creeps, but at least you should try as much as possible to minimize the creeps on the masking. So we are done with with this side now. We also pull the other side, the remaining half, and the same process we are going to also use. So you also locate the center line and place the second half. That is where you start the same process from again. After placing it on the center line, making sure that it's at the center line, then you gradually again begin to cut in between the stitching lines. Remember, you cut in between the stitching lines, and as you cut in between the stitching lines, you align the pattern with the insole. Please be observant to see where my cutting ended, because you don't just continue cutting to any level. There's where your cutting will end. It ends before the tassel crossing, so you watch closely to see where my cutting ended, and the rest will just be aligned like that without cutting further. Gently and carefully, you continue to stretch to make sure you avoid too much creeps on the masking tape. So we are almost done with this step. This is the pattern we are going to use to create the ready to use pattern. So we have gotten our raw file now. So we're going to use this to get the ready to use pattern. So this is the insole I drafted from the last I'm going to use. It is the same thing with the last I'm using. So I drafted it. You place it at the center to redraw the insole to make sure everything matches. So let's cut the raw file into shape before we move over to the next step. So we're going to place the raw file on another cardboard and then draft out the pattern completely. So for us to get the shape of the insole on the new cotton, we have to cut some lines opening on the raw file around the insole so that we'll be able to get the shape of the insole on our new ready to use pattern. So after that, you mark out the insole on the ready to use pattern through the holes you've marked on the raw file. Make sure you dot the center lines because you're going to be needing it later. So after that, you still use the insole to join the whole lines, and then the center line you extend it backwards. So we're going to be measuring from here where my tape is now, 2.5 inch, then you add extra half inch as a reserve. So from here to here, 1 inch on both sides. That is what we are going to measure, and after that we extend the lines to get the back tongue. After that, you cut it into shape. So you use the raw file again, place it on the ready to use pattern, so that we are going to get the stitching lines on it. So use your compass. First of all, measure about 5 millimeters, and then you're going to draw a line from the end of the pattern towards the inside of the pattern. You're going to draw, you see what I'm doing? That is a guide of where you're going to punch for the stitching, so that you don't have a zigzag stitch. After that, you use your compass, the sharp compass, to pinch the whole stitching line. It will appear on the ready to use pattern. So for us to punch everything at once, we are going to pull the tongue and then develop it. So I'm going to be measuring another 5 millimeters and then extend it around the tongue, because I'm going to be having double lines on the tongue for the stitching. So 5 millimeters, and then I'll use the compass to extend it around the tongue. So I'm going to be punching 1 2 1 2 1 2 round the whole tongue for the stitching. So after developing this, and you find out that there's some curves that needs correction, you can do that to get the right shape. So the patterns are ready now. You can see this one, it has fitted. I'm going to be punching it later, that is if I'm going to use it. This one is optional. You see the lines, it's optional. That is if I'm going to use testo, I may use it. So you see this, the tongue also, the double lines. You see the double lines. There are many methods to stitch the tongue, but I'm going to use the method of the double lines. So maybe later we learn other types of stitching. So you can also see this one. This one also is ready to be used. So you can see the pattern is ready now. Remember, you cut in between the stitching lines. So in the part 2 of this video, we're going to learn how to get this place here. We're going to learn how to get it without cutting the pattern. So thank you for watching this video. See you in the part 2. Subscribe if you have not, and hit the bell icon for more updates. Thank you, and see you next time.